Hello, ladies. I'm seeing a common trend right now amongst the collective, amongst our subbies, and amongst just like social media in the world about feeling uncomfortable when you outgrow people. And outgrowing things is quite literally a part of becoming. When you decide that you're going to embark on a certain path, everything and everyone can't come with you. And that's something I had to learn the hard way. When you try to take people with you, people plot to destroy your progression. People like to sabotage. Some people are not emotionally mature enough to come with you. Some people can't see the vision, therefore they can't really see it for themselves to, align with you and walk the walk with you. So a lot of times you're going to outgrow these individuals, whether by accident or on purpose. And so we're going to get into it today. We're going to talk about how to outgrow people gracefully and how to not feel guilty about it, because I think a common theme I'm noticing is when it comes to the outgrowing friends, outgrowing family, outgrowing environments, a lot of people are having trouble with guilt. And coming from someone who is a retired people pleaser and who used to be afraid to stand 10 toes on things when I was younger, I understand 1000% how it feels to outgrow somebody and not know how to tell them, not know how to maneuver, not know how to move, and not know how to not feel guilty. I know that's a lot of knots, but we need to really study not feeling guilty when you have someone around you who no longer serves a positive, lucrative purpose in your life. When an environment, a workplace, a state that you're living in, a country you're living in, a man you're with, a friend that you keep around, a family member that you have no longer serves a purpose that is meaningful in your life, or you have just simply outgrown them for whatever reason. So one of the many reasons why we outgrow people is because we are walking on a path that no longer aligns with them. And so I think personally that it's important to not feel guilty when you outgrow people who you have a lot in common with or who you grew up with. Let's say you have a childhood friend or someone who you really got close to over the years. Sometimes you will outgrow them and you'll feel guilty. You feel guilty because you have survivor's guilt. You have survivor's remorse. What is survivor's remorse? Survivor's remorse is you survived what was supposed to break you. You and that person were going through life. You were struggling. You guys were traumatized together. Maybe you guys have gone through the same struggles and you ended up coming out on the other side greater, better, more elevated, more glowed up. Meanwhile, they became a victim to their circumstances. This is not to shame them, but it's just a fact. They became a victim to their circumstances. They became a victim to what has happened to them, and they decided not to stand up. You got knocked down 9 times and got up 10 times. They got knocked down twice and decided they were going to stay down forever and drag anyone else down around them who decided to get up more times than they did. You see the difference? There's a huge difference there. So when you become the type of person who overcomes, you don't stay in victim mentality, you want more for yourself, you're dedicated to your expansion and to your growth, you see that there's a bright future for yourself, you don't believe in limitation or lack, you're going to outgrow people who live in the slums. When I say live in the slums, I don't mean literally. I mean mentally. They live in the slums of their own mind. They don't know how to stand up. They don't know how to be resilient. They don't know how to be a person that pivots quickly, fast on their feet, able to get up and move and be adaptable. It's like they get knocked down and they refuse to stand up again. And then you're the friend or you're the woman in the romantic relationship that's trying to pull them out the muck. You're doing all this work to pull them out of their slums. Whole time they like it there. Whole time they want to be there. They want to stay there. It's fun there. It's low vibrational and they can be nasty and mean and self-loathe all they want without having to do the work, without having to get better. And that's comfortable and that's fun for some people. So you trying to pull them out of the slums is almost insulting to them. And that's where you get the friends that tell you things like, oh, you think you're better than me? Or the family members that be like, oh, you never come around. You don't speak to us anymore. You think you're better than us. If the shoe fits, because if we're being honest, it's not fair for you to shame me when I'm simply trying to just make good with the cards I'm dealt, get up and fight another day, be resilient, and you're mad because you don't feel the same hunger for life that I do, and you would rather stay down than get up. That's not my problem, and that's not my fault. So that's something that I notice about, survivor's remorse, is that when you survive something, you almost feel remorseful. You almost feel guilty for surviving it and for making it out, and you almost feel like you betrayed someone even though you didn't. It's such a weird thing. The human brain is so fascinating. Why do we feel like we betrayed someone for surviving? For making good with the cards we were dealt? Why do we feel survivor's remorse? Why do we feel guilt for overcoming lack, for overcoming hardship and becoming successful because we were strategic? Why do we feel like we betrayed someone? Why do we feel like we betrayed our family, who never fails to remind us that we don't come around or don't speak to them, or we think we're better, or we think we're on our high horse? Oh, don't forget where you came from. Who do you think you are? Those are people's favorite things to say to someone who has survived, who has overcome, who has outgrown them. Outgrowing people makes other people uncomfortable. And I think that's another reason why we feel guilty. We don't want people to think that we're on a high horse, right? Like, a lot of us have this guilt initially because we don't want people to think we think we're better. But I would say F how they think. Who cares how they think? Who cares if they think you're better? Most likely you are. If people have to utter that to you to potentially try to humble you, that tells you exactly who you are. They wouldn't say that to the average Joe or someone who's not really making any waves or making any noise. And if you're ready to elevate, strategize your next transformation, and become unrecognizable by the end of the year, go ahead and tap in with my coaching. The link is in the description box, where you can set up a time for me to send you a personalized video recording specifically for you. This is a place for our subbies to get more direct contact with me, and we can connect on a more personal level. You're making a lot of noise and people want you to tone it down. They see that you're outgrowing them and at a rapid pace, and they want you to slow it down. They don't say that to average people. They don't say that to normal people who aren't doing anything with their lives. But I would argue that it's important for us to not feel guilty because people are uncomfortable with our growth. If anything, that is just a huge indicator that we are outgrowing these people, and that our time in that friendship, our time in that relationship, our time in that space, in that city, in that town, in that state, in that country is over. And it can be scary. It can be scary to have to realize and come to terms with the fact that a friendship you thought was going to last you until you're in the grave, you've outgrown. It's hard to admit that, hey, this cousin that you had, or this aunt that you had, or this sister that you had, or brother that you had in your life closely at one point, you've outgrown. You're doing leaps and bounds better than them. You're excelling and exceeding, and they don't know what it's like to be in your shoes, and they don't want to know. They've rejected you. They've pushed you to the side. They've made you feel bad for who you are. It's hard to accept these things, but we have to nonetheless. And once you start to accept it, outgrowing them doesn't hurt so much anymore. And that's something I noticed. I've outgrown so many people in my life because I just feel like I've always been this like quantum leaping type of person, where the Most High is just constantly moving me forward, and the people around me get frustrated because they're trying to keep up, and then they end up competing. It's like I have been that type of person where, people just don't understand how I'm able to do what I do or achieve what I achieve at the young age I'm at. And it breeds contempt. It breeds resentment from family, from friends, from men. But nonetheless, I'm still going to keep going. And as I've outgrown people, I've gotten better at letting people go. I've gotten better at ending friendships, ending relationships, ending familial connections. I don't need to bond with you. I don't need to have a connection with you. I'm good, because where I'm going, you clearly can't go, because if you could go with me, you would be elevating too. You wouldn't be intimidated by my success or my elevation, and you would be growing with me, and you would be happy to grow with me instead of trying to tear me down and keep me stuck like you. So ladies, drop down in the comments section. Let me know your thoughts on survivor's remorse, feeling guilt for elevating and growing, and any uncomfortable stories you have about, outgrowing someone and what you did to combat the feelings of guilt. I'd love to have a conversation down below. I'll also be leaving my email in the description box so you can share your stories with me there as well. Have a lovely day, ladies.